Your pristine, high-tech hybrid is quietly robbing you of up to 40% of its actual lifespan, and the dealership network is perfectly happy to let it happen. Think about that for a second. You bought that hybrid because you wanted reliability, efficiency, and a vehicle that would coast past 200,000 miles without breaking a sweat. You paid a premium up front for the engineering, the badge, and the peace of mind. But right now, as the summer heat rolls in and ambient temperatures climb north of 90 or 100 degrees, a hidden flaw in the system is cooking your expensive high-voltage battery from the inside out. It is a slow, silent degradation that does not trigger a dashboard warning light until the damage is already done, costing you thousands of dollars in premature replacement costs. The manufacturers call it normal operation. I call it a ticking time bomb, engineered by omission. Let me tell you what they do not want you to know. The official story you get from the slick marketing brochures and the service writers in their air-conditioned glass offices is that these hybrid systems are completely self-regulating, bulletproof marvels of modern technology. They tell you to just drive the car, change the oil, and let the onboard computers handle the rest. They showcase the EPA ratings and brag about fuel economy under perfect, laboratory-tested conditions. But here is what they won't admit on the showroom floor. Those laboratory tests do not account for real-world neglect, scorching black asphalt, or the catastrophic impact of a microscopic layer of dust. The system is designed to survive the warranty period, not to last forever. They are banking on you blaming old age or wear and tear when that battery pack finally drops a cell at year 8, when in reality, the death sentence was signed years prior by a cooling system suffocating in silence. Just last week, a customer rolled into my shop with an incredibly clean, well-maintained hybrid model. The owner was a meticulous driver who followed every single scheduled maintenance interval to the letter. Yet there it was on his dash, the dreaded hybrid system failure light. The dealership had already quoted him over $5,000 for a complete battery pack replacement, claiming it was just an unfortunate random failure due to mileage. When I hooked up my diagnostic tools and pulled the thermal history from the electronic control unit, the real story emerged. The battery pack had been repeatedly operating at temperatures north of 130 degrees Fahrenheit. It was literally baking itself alive during his daily afternoon commute. The fix did not require a $5,000 replacement pack. It did not require complex programming. The root cause was a completely obstructed, hidden filter that costs less than a fast food meal, a component that the factory service manual does not even mandate checking during routine oil changes to understand why this happens. You have to look past the marketing hype and understand the physical reality of how a hybrid battery actually works. Think of your high-voltage battery pack less like a static fuel tank and more like a massive, highly sensitive thermodynamic bucket. Every single time you step on the gas pedal, energy rushes out of that bucket to power the electric motors. Every time you step on the brakes, regenerative braking forces energy back into the bucket. This constant high amperage shifting of energy creates a massive amount of internal kinetic friction, which translates directly into raw heat. Under normal driving conditions, the battery manages this heat through a dedicated internal cooling system. But when you combine that natural internal heat generation with scorching summer weather, the demands on that cooling system escalate exponentially. The battery pack has a very narrow, very specific thermal sweet spot where it achieves maximum chemical efficiency and longevity. When the internal cell temperature climbs past that optimal threshold, the onboard computer steps in to protect the hardware from immediate catastrophic failure. But it does this by making a compromise that hurts your wallet. The electronic control unit begins to aggressively scale back the hybrid functionality. It limits the amount of assist the electric motor provides, forces the internal combustion engine to run longer and harder just to maintain speed, and curtails regenerative braking efficiency. You will notice your fuel economy plummet by 15 to 20% suddenly, and the vehicle will feel sluggish, heavy, and unresponsive. But the real danger is not just a temporary drop in miles per gallon. The real danger is the cumulative, irreversible chemical degradation occurring inside those sealed battery modules. High heat accelerates the breakdown of the internal electrolytes and increases internal resistance within the individual cells. Once internal resistance spikes, the battery generates even more heat during normal operation, creating a vicious, destructive feedback loop. It is a slow-motion, downward spiral. The system stays too hot for too long, repeatedly, day after day, week after week. By the time the vehicle finally throws a hard diagnostic trouble code and lights up your dashboard like a Christmas tree, the individual cells have drifted so far out of balance that the pack is effectively ruined. The manufacturers know this happens, but their priority is keeping the vehicle quiet and the assembly line moving, not ensuring your vehicle reaches 300,000 miles without a major component failure. They hide the cooling system components out of sight, beneath rear seats, inside interior quarter panels, or tucked away in areas the average owner will never think to look. They utilize small, high RPM electric blower fans to draw air from the cabin to cool the battery pack. It seems like an elegant design on paper because it utilizes the driver's air conditioning to help cool the electronics. But in the real world, this design possesses a catastrophic vulnerability that nobody is warning you about. Every single piece of pet dander, every stray hair, every speck of road dust, and every bit of clothing lint floating through your cabin gets pulled directly toward that high-voltage battery cooling intake. Over time, this debris accumulates on the face of the internal cooling fan blades and completely plugs the incredibly fine cooling fins of the battery heat exchanger. Because the intake is hidden from view, you have absolutely no visual indication that the system is slowly choking to death. The fan begins to spin faster and louder to compensate, but it is just churning turbulent, restricted air without actually dropping the core temperature of the modules. The computer tries to manage the crisis silently, hiding the escalating internal temperatures from the driver until the hardware passes the point of no return. You do not have to be a victim of this engineered vulnerability, and you certainly do not have to accept a multi-thousand-dollar dealership repair bill as an inevitability. Preventing this catastrophic thermal breakdown and restoring your hybrid system to peak factory efficiency is completely within your control, requiring no specialized mechanical background or expensive diagnostic equipment. There are specific hidden maintenance steps, structural cleaning techniques, and driving habits that will completely immunize your vehicle against summer thermal degradation, keeping your high-voltage pack running ice-cold even when the ambient pavement temperatures are hot enough to melt asphalt. It all begins with identifying the exact locations of these hidden filtration points and understanding how to clear the silent blockages that are actively strangling your system right now. There is a precise 5-step inspection protocol that every hybrid owner needs to perform before the peak of the summer heat waves hits, starting with a component that is likely sitting less than 12 inches away from you right now, completely covered in a thick blanket of performance-killing dust. Here's the fix most dealers won't mention. They would rather wait for that battery to cook completely so they can sell you a $5,000 replacement pack. But you can completely immunize your vehicle against this thermal death sentence in less than 30 minutes, in your own driveway, for less than $20. This is not some highly complex, engine-out mechanical overhaul that requires a master technician certification or a toolbox worth a mortgage payment. This is basic, preventive maintenance that has been intentionally left off the standard dealership service menu because keeping you in the dark is highly profitable for the system. To save your hybrid battery from baking itself alive, you need to clear the airway and clean the dedicated high-voltage cooling fan. This is a simple, mechanical, step-by-step process that targets the exact root cause of the silent restriction we just uncovered. You only need 3 basic tools that you probably already have rolling around in your garage: a basic 10mm socket or wrench, a plastic trim removal tool, or a flathead screwdriver wrapped in tape to protect your interior panels, and a standard can of compressed electronic dust or air. If your particular model utilizes an unserviceable factory mesh setup, your only actual expense will be a upgraded, high-flow replaceable filter element that costs about $15 at any local auto parts store. The very first step is locating the high-voltage battery cooling intake vents. In 90% of hybrid vehicles on the road today, this intake grid is located right on the side of the rear seat cushion, down near the floorboards, or up on the package tray behind the rear headrests. Look for a plastic louver or mesh grill that looks like a small heating vent. This is the lungs of your hybrid battery pack. Before you touch a single bolt or clip, ensure the vehicle is completely powered down, the ignition is off, and the key is far away from the vehicle. While we are not touching any of the high-voltage orange cables today, safety and common sense dictate working on a completely cold, powered-off machine. The second step is gaining direct physical access to the blower assembly. Pop off the plastic outer grill cover using your trim tool. In most layouts, this piece is held in place by simple plastic pressure clips that release with a firm, steady pry. Once that grill is off, you are going to see the primary filtration barrier. In many older variants, manufacturers did not even install a real filter here. They just put a coarse plastic mesh that allows fine pet hair and carpet fibers to sail right through. If you have a newer version with a fabric filter, it is highly likely completely matted over with gray sludge, looking like the lint trap of a clothes dryer that has not been cleaned in 3 years. Remove this filter element completely. The third step is pulling the actual electric blower fan if the debris has bypassed the screen. This is where the 10mm wrench comes into play. There are typically 2 or 3 small bolts securing the plastic fan housing to the vehicle chassis, along with one quick disconnect electrical wiring plug. Undo the bolts, press the release tab on the plastic harness plug, and slide the blower fan assembly out of its housing. When you hold that fan up to the light, you will immediately see the problem. The individual curved blades of the squirrel cage fan collect a thick, heavy layer of static charged dust. This buildup alters the aerodynamic profile of the blades, drastically reducing the fan's cubic feet per minute air moving capacity while causing the fan motor to draw excessive amperage and run hotter. The fourth step is the actual decontamination. Take the fan assembly completely out of the car and place it on a workbench or your driveway. Hold the fan wheel firmly with one hand so it does not spin freely at hyperspeed, which can actually damage the electric motor bearings, and use your compressed air to blow out every single speck of crust and dust from between the blades. If the buildup is oily or sticky from years of cabin exposure, use a soft bristled toothbrush dipped in a tiny amount of isopropyl alcohol to scrub the blade faces clean. Let it dry completely. If your vehicle was equipped with a filthy fabric filter, discard it and drop in your new $15 high-flow replacement element. The fifth and final step is reassembly, which is the exact reverse of the teardown. Slide the clean fan assembly back into position. Snug down those 10mm bolts until they are firm. Do not over-tighten them into the soft plastic housing, and click the electrical harness back into place. Pop your new or cleaned filter element into its retaining slots, and snap the cosmetic outer grill back onto the interior trim panel. The entire job is done. Your coffee even gets cold. I put this exact fix into action on a common commuter hybrid just a few days ago. The owner came in complaining that his vehicle was feeling incredibly sluggish during his highway commute home, and his fuel economy had dropped from 50 miles per gallon down into the high 30s. He was convinced his hybrid system was dying. We did not spend thousands on diagnostic scanning or component replacement. We pulled his rear seat trim, found a cooling fan completely packed solid with golden retriever hair, spent 20 minutes cleaning the assembly, and installed a fresh intake filter. The very next day, his fuel economy bounced right back up to its factory baseline. The vehicle felt light and responsive again. And his internal battery temperatures dropped by a massive 25 degrees Fahrenheit under identical driving conditions. That is the power of simple, targeted maintenance over blind dealership parts changing. But before you run out to your driveway to tackle this, you must understand a couple of critical warnings and common misconceptions that trip up even experienced DIY mechanics. The absolute biggest mistake you can make is trying to clean that intake vent with a powerful household vacuum cleaner while everything is still assembled in the car. It seems tempting to just stick a vacuum nozzle up against that plastic grill and hope it sucks out the dirt. Do not do this. All that does is pull the coarse surface debris off the front of the screen, while simultaneously pulling fine, loose dust deeper into the internal battery casing, packing it into the tight gaps between the high-voltage cells, where you can never get it out without disassembling the entire high-voltage box. Another massive misconception is that you can just blast compressed air directly into the intake vent while the fan is still mounted inside the vehicle. If you do that, you are literally shooting all that abrasive road grit, pet dander, and lint directly onto the sensitive electronic control circuit boards mounted right next to the battery modules. That debris can cause static discharge or trap heat against the electronics, creating a catastrophic electrical short circuit that will actually destroy the entire battery computer. You must take the extra 10 minutes to physically remove the fan component from the vehicle chassis before you use any compressed air or cleaning solutions. Lastly, do not fall into the trap of blocking or covering these cabin vents under any circumstances. I have seen drivers accidentally stack luggage, coats, or groceries directly against the rear seat intake grille during long road trips, completely cutting off the battery's supply of cool air. Within 50 miles of high-speed driving with a blocked vent, the internal battery temperature will skyrocket into the danger zone, forcing the computer to drop the hybrid system into a crippled protection mode. Treat that vent with the exact same respect you give your engine radiator grill. It needs a completely clear, unrestricted path to breathe if you want your high-voltage system to survive the harsh reality of summer heat. Keep the airway clean, keep the dust out, and you will lock in factory-fresh efficiency while adding years of reliable life to your investment. By taking matters into your own hands and executing this simple cooling system service, you aren't just saving yourself from an unexpected $5,000 repair bill down the road. You are actively rewriting the lifespan trajectory of your vehicle. When you keep that high-voltage battery operating within its optimal thermal window, the immediate payoff is a complete restoration of your factory fuel economy ratings and a driving experience that feels incredibly sharp, crisp, and responsive. But the true, long-term reward is what happens beneath the surface over the next 50, 100, or 150,000 miles. You are effectively halting the accelerated chemical decay that forces early battery degradation, ensuring that your individual hybrid modules remain perfectly balanced, healthy, and capable of holding a full charge capacity long after the factory warranty has expired. You are transforming your vehicle from a machine designed to survive the warranty period into a true long-haul asset that defies the manufacturer's built-in obsolescence. To truly maximize this thermal advantage and lock in these performance gains for the entire life of your vehicle, you need to combine that physical cleaning process with a few complementary operational habits and routine inspections. Think of this as establishing a comprehensive shield around your high-voltage system. First and foremost, make it an ironclad habit to inspect that rear cabin intake filter at every single engine oil change interval. Do not wait for the summer heat waves to remind you. It takes exactly 30 seconds to glance at that grill or slide out the filter element to check for surface debris. If you drive with pets frequently, or if you regularly travel on dusty gravel roads, increase that check to every 5,000 miles. Catching a restriction when it is just a thin layer of lint is infinitely better than waiting for the cooling fan blades to pack solid with debris. Secondly, you need to understand how to leverage your cabin's climate control system to actively protect your high-voltage investment. Remember, the hybrid battery draws its cooling air directly from the passenger compartment. That means whatever temperature you are feeling in the driver's seat is exactly what the battery pack is breathing in the back. On blistering hot summer days, do not be conservative with your air conditioning. Running the cabin AC at a comfortable 70 or 72 degrees Fahrenheit isn't just about your personal luxury. It is a critical mechanical necessity for the battery pack. Avoid the temptation to drive with the windows down on a 95-degree day to save a microscopic amount of fuel, because the hot, humid, ambient air rushing into the cabin will completely overwhelm the battery's ability to shed its internal heat. Cool the cabin down quickly, Keep the system on recirculation mode to prevent drawing in humid outside air, and you will simultaneously create an icy sanctuary for your high-voltage electronics. Furthermore, pay close attention to where you park your vehicle during the peak solar hours of the day. Parking on black, unshaded asphalt for 8 hours straight during a heat wave turns your vehicle's cabin into a literal greenhouse, pushing interior temperatures past 140 degrees Fahrenheit. When you start the car, the hybrid battery is already starting at a massive thermal disadvantage before you even shift into drive. Whenever possible, seek out shaded areas, utilize covered parking structures, or invest in a high-quality, reflective front windshield sunshade. Minimizing the initial thermal load inside the cabin means the battery cooling system doesn't have to work in overdrive just to reach a safe operational baseline when you begin your afternoon commute. However, as an informed owner, you must also be aware of certain operational trade-offs and nuances when managing your hybrid vehicle's thermal and performance characteristics. For instance, many drivers discover the benefits of using their vehicle's integrated drive modes to alter performance, but they don't realize how these selections impact the high-voltage ecosystem. Selecting a dedicated sport or power mode alters the electronic control unit's programming mapping. It commands the electric motors to deliver maximum torque instantaneously and increases the aggressiveness of the regenerative braking system to keep the battery highly charged for quick acceleration. While this makes the vehicle incredibly fun and responsive to drive, it also forces a much higher current flow through the battery pack, which generates internal kinetic heat at a vastly accelerated rate. If you are operating in extreme ambient temperatures north of 100 degrees, running in sport mode continuously will force the cooling fan to run at its absolute maximum speed, creating a noticeable humming noise in the cabin and slightly dragging down your net fuel economy due to the increased electrical load on the system. Save the aggressive driving modes for cooler mornings or evening drives, and utilize the standard or eco modes during the blistering heat of the afternoon to keep thermal generation to an absolute minimum. Another critical trade-off to consider involves the installation of aftermarket interior accessories. It has become incredibly popular for owners to purchase thick, custom-fit rear seat covers or heavy-duty all-weather floor mats to protect their vehicle's upholstery from kids, pets, or mud. While this is great for preserving resale value, many of these generic aftermarket designs completely fail to account for the factory hybrid cooling vents. I have seen dozens of cases where an owner unknowingly installs a heavy vinyl seat cover that hangs directly over the side intake grill, completely sealing off the battery's airflow and triggering a catastrophic system failure within a matter of days. Always double-check that any accessory you install leaves a minimum of 3 inches of completely unobstructed clearance around the entire perimeter of the cooling intake. At the end of the day, the choice is entirely yours. You can continue to follow the generic, watered-down advice provided by corporate marketing teams and overconfident dealership service writers who view your vehicle purely as a recurring revenue stream. You can leave your vehicle's longevity up to chance, blindly trusting that the factory programming will protect your wallet when the warranty expires. Or you can step up, embrace the insider knowledge you've earned today, and take active command of your machine's destiny. You now possess the exact technical insights, the practical steps, and the mechanical understanding required to outsmart the system and keep your hybrid running flawlessly for decades. Do not let a microscopic layer of dust dictate the lifespan of your investment. Check that filter, clean that fan, manage your cabin climate, and drive with the absolute confidence of an owner who truly knows what is happening beneath the sheet metal. You have the tools, you have the knowledge, and you have the power to keep your machine running ice cold. Take action, protect your ride, and stay ahead of the game.